Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your exceptionally elated elephant.
What's going on, love?
Nothing. Just, it was a good weekend and had a really productive Sunday morning. And now I'm prepared to chill after we record. And also trying to get into the holiday spirit. So I'm really good all the way around. How about you?
I'm good. Nothing to complain about, 2020 has been my year of, if it's something that if it's something that I can't change or that I don't have personal control over, not to sweat it. And any day above the ground is a great day. So yes. I try not to live in negative spaces. And it's been pretty helpful for me in 2020, so.
That's nice. Well, yeah, of course, welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel. TJ and I do apologize that we were not recording these last, I think. That was me. And yes, let the record show. That we haven't recorded in the last 2 weeks. And it's just, whenever we have these little lulls in our scheduling, I feel really bad because I know that there are people out there waiting to listen, and we sometimes, but ultimately, like, life happens and things happen, and this go round for me was like coming off of a week spent with family, and then also just the heightened emotions, at least that I had surrounding the election, which we'll talk about this episode. I just wasn't in the right headspace, and if I'm being transparent, as we get into the holiday season, and I think it's just, sometimes it's really important just to the family that you can be around, that you spend time with them, and that we focus on that too. So I'm not saying that, like, we're not going to record, we're just going to stop recording abruptly or anything like that. But I just kind of want to be transparent in this moment, in that, things come up. TJ and I are still working, still parenting Tatum, still doing stuff around the house to make this house a home. My mom just turned 70 this past week. So I was, we were spending time celebrating my mother because it's a huge birthday and obviously can't do what we normally do. So, just being real, like, I don't know, it's on my heart a little bit, but it's just like, TJ and I do this for fun, and we do this to connect, and we do this to show love and appreciation to people and their relationships, no matter where they come from in life, what type of life that they live. And it's a great way for us to meet new people, engage with new people. And so it's a passion of ours. And TJ has said it many, many times before, which is like, if we never make $1 off of this, then that's always okay too. And it's a thing too, like, we do this as a passion, but it is still on the side of our, full-time jobs and our full-time lives. So that in turn sometimes means that there are going to be weeks that sometimes things don't happen. And in podcasting, consistency is key. This is like breaking a cardinal rule of sorts. But at the same time, until this becomes something that, if ever, or if we ever desire for it to be something that we really could make a substantial living off of, then we're going to be, real with ourselves and give ourselves grace. And we hope that you guys do that as well, and can afford us that grace as well, as we continue to navigate our lives while still sharing our lives with you all.
Especially during this time, I think with COVID, what it has showed us is that even though the world has stopped, it hasn't stopped. And I think that's the difference. I've gotten busier with work. Danny's gotten busier with work. And then Tatum's in school, and she has homework on a nightly basis. And
weekends now.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's being able to manage our time better. So that's something that we are going to work on, and making sure that we, record early or use pockets. But I think it's different because when we were releasing on Fridays, we would typically record that Tuesday or Wednesday typically, so that gave us enough time, and we planned. But it would be like, Tatum is at one of our, is at either
my sisters,
her sisters, or her mother's. So now we're recording there, but because everything is done at home, it's kind of like, how do you make that time? So not making excuses, just expressing what's going on with us. And, we thank y'all for your patience and your understanding. And, we just want to try to be as genuine and authentic as possible. While still providing great content. Because, again, if we're going to rush something and it's going to be trash, then we might as well not do it. So
facts. That is, we just kind of wanted to address that absence and whatever, and be honest that, we're going to take it week by week as we, venture into this, like, it's going to be probably a really rough winter for us not us, me and TJ solely, but just like as a people, because COVID numbers are rising. Folks, we're dealing with a completely delusional person that happens to be, I guess, president of the United States, saying that he hasn't conceded. So you've got that going on. You've got this transition happening. The holidays, people, wanting to be around, and Thanksgiving is a time where people have all their family together, and that's just not a reality.
Sorry, my phone.
And it's a thing of, we want to just make sure and we want to encourage all of you to focus on what matters the most in your life. If that's your health, which paramount is health and safety, folks, like, we all have our little bubbles of folks that we kind of stay around. Just stay within your bubbles, y'all. The same handful of people that you're able to be around, be around them, but, refrain from the big gatherings, the huge parties. If you can help it at all with traveling, especially flying or anything like that, please do that. Make sure you wear a mask. Wear that shit over your nose. That shit burns me up when I see people with that shit under their nose. Hand sanitizer. Don't OD on paper towel and toilet paper because it's already looking skimp out there. So make sure you're doing those things. If you're, blessed enough to be employed during this time, continue working, grinding, doing what you have to do, and just take care of yourselves. Like, whatever brings you peace, whatever brings you joy, because, and again, I guess we're going on a little bit of a tangent and we'll jump into the show, but I had a conversation with some of my former students this week, and some of them are doing okay, but others of them are not. But what I will say is, across the spectrum, like, they're all struggling in different ways with, like, learning from home and being school from home. I had one of my students, he's lost 3 people. He's in 9th grade now. He's lost 3 people in the last 6 months, one of whom was his mother. And this is, like, the sweetest, smartest, kindest, funniest, like, most understanding child. Like, he's so emotionally intelligent, and, like, it kills me and it pains me that he's struggling with that. And I just, I'm trying to encourage him and give him the words to give himself grace and to find peace and to not go to those dark places in his mind when he feels this way. So in that same vein, I'm just encouraging anyone who hears this to please also do that for yourself. Put yourself first, put your family first, put your health and safety first, put your mental wealth and health first. And with that, I'm going to stop rambling. Are you ready for us to jump into our elevator, baby?
I am.
All right. Are you going up or down?
You can start it off.
All right.
I don't know what I'm doing yet.
I'm going up. Going up. So, since we last met with you all, we have gone through the longest election, at least in our lifetimes. And it's all about fuck Donald Trump. That motherfucker lost. He's delusional that he didn't lose. He won't concede. I know all the stuff like that, but men lie, women lie, numbers don't. People voted. The people have spoken. This motherfucker is gone. Now, I know that, he is trying to stage a coup. He is trying to, have his base be, riled up and get them all worked up so that they can go out there and cause all types of mess. And again, make sure y'all are being safe, especially depending on where you live. But it makes me really happy. I'm going to choose to be really happy that we are on the precipice of getting this motherfucker the fuck up out of here. Because he is, even though he is a symptom and not the disease, he is the gangrenous boil, symptom on your leg, your shoulder, wherever that you can't get rid of, and that itches and burns and all that other stuff. I'm just trying to think of everything disgusting about us, like something about an illness that I can. That's what he represents. And it's still fuck Mitch McConnell, and it's still fuck Lindsey Graham or Lady G. And but I am still glad that we are like turning, hopefully, some semblance of a corner. The fight is not over. There's a runoff in Georgia for control of the Senate. If anyone is listening to this in Georgia, make sure y'all go and vote for the Ossoff and Warnock. If you're not in Georgia, make sure you donate or you volunteer to Text Bank. Do what you can to support. But I was really nervous, and I'm just glad that like at least more than half of the population of voters that did voted for not him. And to the people who did vote for him, which was still a significant amount of people, I say this with all disrespect. Y'all are whack fucking people. Fuck you. And I don't know what it's going to feel like to wake up one day or to go to die knowing that you were on the wrong side of history. So, sucks to be you. And with that, fuck Donald Trump. I yield the floor, or the elevator floor.
I'll stay up, and I'm just glad that the elections is over, because Dani was very stressed and she was taking it out on me. I feel like.
Okay, go ahead.
That was just my interpretation.
I was gonna say something, but I'm not.
No, go ahead. What was you gonna say? You didn't take it out on me, but I don't like to see you stressed, and this really had you stressed and everything. So I'm just glad that it's over. I'm glad that Biden won, because I would have voted for anybody against Donald Trump. I would have voted for a sock. I would have voted for an animal. I would have voted for just anybody. Mm-hmm. If they would have been like, Hitler's running, hey, I'm going for Hitler.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, well, that's how extreme I was.
Trump his playbook is Hitler's playbook, so we still gotta,
I'm using that.
I know you're being facetious. Yes, I get it.
100%. I'm just saying that we were talking about it yesterday. Trump had the easiest layup, and the layup would have been
his COVID response.
The COVID response. He would have did that. He would have been good, but he couldn't even do that right. So he fumbles all the bags
because he doesn't care.
So
yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. That, and just like I said, I'm just on a positive vibe right now. There's nothing to be negative about. It's nothing, family's healthy. We got our jobs. Tatum's growing and learning every day. So that's all I can ask for.
I love it. All right. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
Off this elevator.
Let's jump off this elevator and let's just transition and move on to our relationship tip of the week. I'm going to go first. Is that okay? All right. So my relationship tip of the week is something I learned in therapy. I'm a big proponent of that. Is in our lives, and again, within all of our ships and any of our encounters with the people in our lives, no matter what role they might have, we need to make authentic daily decisions to communicate. Now, what does that mean, Dani? Well, if you haven't noticed, if you've not listened to this show before, you don't know me personally, you know that sometimes I have a tendency to not speak on things when they're bothering me, or when I'm annoyed or agitated. Typically because I don't want to argue, or because I figure it's not a big deal or it'll pass. But what ends up happening, like clockwork, is I suppress and I suppress and I suppress. And then something that maybe otherwise, if I had been more open about how I felt in the beginning, I end up blowing up, right? Or I'm not maintaining my emotions. And, more recently, and also during these last 2 weeks, which could explain some of the lacking desire to record, is like, trying to manage my emotions has been a struggle. I am not a naturally angry person or a argumentative person or anything like that, but I am someone who feels very deeply. I like to think of myself as kind of like an empath. Like, I feel how I feel really intensely. I take on other people's emotions I take it on very deeply, and as much as I try not to, it's really difficult to not like internalize that stuff. So in therapy, what my therapist said was, like, Dani, it's a skill, and you have to, like any other skill, you have to practice it. You have to work on it, and you have to do it in small steps. It's not always going to be that, you can't just jump out the window and start talking openly how you feel about something super, major or serious. It's like, it's the little things. And, she kind of explained it like, just because somebody else is joking with you or making a joke, or just because somebody else isn't offended or hurt by it, or it doesn't feel a way about it, doesn't mean that you're wrong for feeling a way about it. It's more about you communicating it and setting those boundaries. And the way that you can start doing that is by making these like authentic daily decisions to communicate. So it's like, and I'm going to use TJ because that's, an easy example to provide, but it's like, if TJ, comes home and doesn't do something that I like, or says something that I don't like, instead of me huffing and puffing, because she did say you have to kind of identify like what your little like your tells are when you're feeling a way. When you feel that way, just say it. And like, that's for him to, receive and process and respond to how he will. But at least you know that you made it clear, like, I don't like this, or I don't like that you said that, or this bothers me. And in doing so, you just get those things out, because sometimes, and we all know, sometimes the sheer fact that we said something is all that we needed to do to kind of move on. We had to just kind of put it out there. So I'm working on that personally, so that way I don't become this like overly emotional person, because that's an area where I struggle with being okay with being emotional. So in order to help manage them better, I'm practicing making daily authentic communications with TJ, with everybody, and making that decision to say, hey, this happened, I don't like it. Or this was said, I feel like this was, rude or something like that. So landing the plane, that's my relationship tip of the week. And I hope that if anyone else is struggling with that in whatever way, like I am, that it helps.
My tip for this week is to individuals, people, relationships, any type of ships, is to do a self-audit. Do a self-analysis of the things that make you unhappy, the things you want to change. Just start working on it. Take it one day at a time. Give yourself the grace and understand that you're not going to be perfect, but start working towards the things, Start removing the negative people in your life, or the negative situations in your life, and, learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? You have a friend who hasn't been a good friend to you, but you keep them around because they've been a consistent, it's okay to start distancing yourself and start removing them out of there, so that way you can give yourself peace. COVID has taught me that it's super short. You never know what tomorrow's going to give you. And, it's up to you to control your happiness. So I think that it's very important that we take a reflection and we see the things that we can remove out of our lives that will make us happier. So
I love it. Sometimes we got to reflect, right? We got to like examine and, prune the tree of our lives. And sometimes that means you got to let people go. Well, with that being said, we are going to shift into our Black History fact for this week. I'm still going to use mine I did have planned for last week, only because I like it. And so it's still November. Yes, it's still November. And so it's still appropriate. I am going to say that last Monday, I believe, Drew Hill, recording artist, Cisco.
That's your Black History fact?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Cisco was born on November 9th, 1975.
I don't know if that's a Black History
That
fact.
is a Black. He is a part of one of the best R&B male groups ever. Like, we're in Baltimore. Drew a Hill, which was 5 minutes from my job. Like,
Got it.
First of all, we're not going to slander Drew Hill, because we know that they got bops, and everybody knows the Drew Hill bop, the little dance, the little "tell me what you want."
You got it.
And Cisco was a part of that first,
Okay.
and he brought us the thong song, like dumps like a truck, and he said it. Let me sing it again.
That song has not aged well at all.
It's not. It hasn't. But I remember it so well. I remember the part where like his feet like went over the crowd in the video. There was like a crowd of people, and he like ran over.
Yeah, it's almost called a thong song. There was like no thongs in the video. It was like,
well, it was like 2000.
I get that, but I'm just saying it was just he missed the mark on that. But
well, I think it's for the times. But Cisco, happy birthday, happy belated birthday, Cisco. You know.
So I'm going to give 2.
Okay, go ahead.
So hockey player Arthur Durrington becomes the first black to sign an NHL contract joining the New York Rangers organization in November 15th, 1950. So I would have never known that in 1950 we had African Americans playing in hockey.
Really? Yeah, I wouldn't have known or guessed that either.
And then November 16th, 2004, President Bush announces his nomination of Condoleezza Rice as Secretary of State. She's the first black woman to serve in that position. Another black history fact. So I know people didn't love Condoleezza, but
you know what? A first is a first. And
I would have voted for her to be president too.
I mean, she's definitely way better than what we have now, and she wasn't bad necessarily either when she was in her role, but she was
a Republican, so
yeah. But
and at that time, I mean, in history, it's always been Democrats versus Republican. Even though black people started out as Republicans and then became Democrats, I still got to find out what changed that. But
oh yeah, there used to be like the Democratic Republicans, and then like yeah, there was a whole thing. Like political parties have kind of like shifted, like, you know, but it's always been, we've been very much primarily as a country a 2-party system, but we do need more parties. But I mean,
you can have more parties, but if you're gonna have more parties and it's still gonna be primarily the Democrats and Republicans who's gonna get all the votes, and it doesn't matter if you have more parties.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like there does need to be a more like I do agree that there needs to be a shift of like making space for those other political parties to have like a broader, a bigger platform, so people can hear what they have to say. Because then, you know, you might find that like, oh, this party that's not a Democrat, not a Republican, is more in alignment with my beliefs and what I think is best for my life and my family and my country. But you don't know about it because you can't act on it. Like right now, I do feel like, you know, these last 4 years and in the coming couple of years are such a triage kind of moment in history where we just have to stop the bleeding and like cut the fat of these like demon ass fucking people that support Trump and Trump himself and the Republicans that follow after him, that we have to do that. And so it's very much kind of like we're compromising sometimes a little bit, but as time goes on, I do think we need to create space for these other parties because, you know, anywhere else in our lives, if we go to a place and they say you got choice A or choice B, we're like, well, that's it. Like if you walk into any store and they tell you I got 2 things for you, 2 products, and that's it.
Yes and no.
Then you're gonna be like,
because there's a place called Lobster and Burgers, and that's all they serve is lobster and burgers.
Okay, but that's like but that's because they tell you that's all we serve up front. Technically, this country is never like, yeah, we're only this 2-party system. They arguably support the inclusion of other parties, but because it's like so it's like if you're at a restaurant and it's called burger, lobster, shrimp, fries, and pork chops, and you go in there thinking that you're going to be able to have any pick of those 5 things, and actually it's just burger and lobster, and then like there's like 1 shrimp in the restaurant and 1 French fry and 1 pork chop, then that's when it's kind of like you're forcing my hand to pick between burger and lobster. That's all. But now, give me my word of the week so I can redeem myself, and I'm going to do it. I have to do it for Alex Trebek, because rest in peace to Alex Trebek. That one hit hard because I love me some Jeopardy. So I'm going to toss it over to TJ for the word of the week.
Your word of the week is conflagration, an extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land or property. So conflagration, something that LA has.
Or California?
Yeah, because it says an extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land or property.
Okay.
Isn't that what, like, because it's so dry out there, it's like it burns a lot of land and everything.
Yeah, and because of, humans
water drought too.
And climate change and all of those things. And because once upon a time, I read somewhere that it does happen where there are ways to safely burn patches of land that have a lot of dry dead wood or leaves and things like that, but to do it in a controlled manner, so that way I think it's called, is it raising? But basically you do that in order to eliminate it prevent it from spreading further and turning into a wildfire. But all right, conflagration. So CONFLAGRATION.
You got it.
Thank you. Boop, boop, boop. That was for my main man, Alex Trebek. Rest in peace. So now that we have done that, we're going to take a brief break, listen and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be back to chat it up with y'all some more.
Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gaines Load and Lock grips by Gaines Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to GainSportsGear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.
And you too can embrace the process by using our code LOVERS10 at Gaines, GAINZ, sportsgear.com. And now, back to the show.
And we are back. And I figured since we were kind of talking in the spirit of our conversation being mostly grounded in politics and the current state of the world, I wanted to talk to TJ about potentially what...
Because you want to have a conversation that's definitely going to get heated. But go ahead.
I think it'll get okay. It's a quarrel. I mean, I have to be an argument.
Go ahead, Queen.
So, when we're thinking about relationships, we're obviously always not going to have the same opinions on everything. But what I want to know is, could you remain in a relationship with someone that has different political views than yourself? And to be a little bit more specific, could you be in a relationship with a Trump supporter? So, my answer, you go first, because I'm answering first every segment.
Yours is going to be hell no.
My answer is going to be hell no for a Trump supporter. Different political views, it might depend on what it is, but different political views I might be able to work with. But it depends on what it is. But a Trump supporter, no, fuck you, we're getting divorced.
Damn.
Yeah.
So if I told you I was a Trump supporter, you divorce me?
Probably.
Or you are? Because see, you just went from being sure to being not sure. I'm just trying to say. I would. So if I needed to get us to get divorced, it's got to be I'm a Trump supporter.
Well, you'd have to be a supporter. You could say I voted for him, but I know you didn't vote for him, so because I helped you fill out your ballot. So,
yeah, for me, I mean, it's tough because everybody are individuals and they're allowed to have their own views on things. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would definitely look at you weird if you were a Trump supporter, but again, it depends on if you're saying I'm a Trump supporter because financially, he helped me. I don't give a fuck about nothing else but money. It would kind of open up my eyes to what kind of individual you are. So that's why I'm not necessarily just saying. I wouldn't just say yes per se. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you can back up why, even if I don't agree with it, that's your choice. But I also see things a little bit differently. So.
Yeah.
So what about your family who's voted for Trump? Does that mean you don't say you're not going to speak to them no more?
I don't really have anything to say to them. I don't know the next time I would be in the same space as them anyway. But if it came out that somebody in my family voted for him, then we don't really have anything to talk about. But
are you going to cut off
hello, goodbye?
So you would say hello, goodbye to them. That's because they're family, or I'm just trying to see how deep your hate is.
That would probably be like out of like courtesy. So like, if I'm being honest, if I'm thinking about the people in my family who could have, right? They would probably have been the people who've married into my family. So more so out of like respect for my relative who is married to that person, or to like my aunts who are the parent of that person's spouse, I would be like mildly cordial, but we have literally nothing to talk about. I'm not invited, and most certainly I don't think that you're being invited by me to something. It's because we were both invited to the same family function, and I'm not going to pass up seeing the rest of my family when the time is, when we can again, because of that. But fuck no, I'm not talking to you. Like, what do we got to talk about? So what would you do?
I'm just saying, if I was you, then I'm not fucking with you at all. Like, I wouldn't even say hi, and you would know why I didn't say hi. And I'm just saying, if you're gonna have this strong stance, then you can't like flip flop on.
Well, I don't really feel like it's flip flopping. I feel like it's just like I said, like it would be like out of a courtesy. Like if I was at like my 90-year-old great aunt's house and a relative came over, or their spouse came over, and like it was made clear that person's like, I think the thing too is like these are the type of people that are not going to like outwardly say that they voted for who they voted for. But if it ever came up, like if I was ever in a scenario where that person said it to my face, it came up and they were like, and it came up in conversation.
Then you won't go.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm like chomping at the bit. But
see, I would be the type,
after that, it's like I do not fuck with you. I don't acknowledge you.
See, I would be the type to like wear like a shirt that will let you know, like, fuck Donald Trump shirt. Mm-hmm. And I would wear it because I know that you're coming, and I want.
Absolutely, that would definitely be like a more.
Yeah, but to me, it's also like if this person is like I said, like I was saying earlier, if this person is someone who's in my family, but it's not someone I really bang with or anything like that, I'm not gonna put too much emphasis on it because I wouldn't bang with you on a normal. So for me to have to give you that extra energy, that means I'm going out of my way, and that fucks up the path that I'm trying to go in life. So for me, you know, but if it was my significant other, I feel like it would make me look at you differently. I would look at you and say, if you voted for him because of these reasons, then it's kind of like, this is what you're motivated by. And it would let me know that, you know, if I lost my job, you may be gone because you're motivated by money. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about the love because, again, I'm not voting for somebody just because financially they help me. They make everything else bad, but I have the money. Like, money's a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And to me, I've always said it, like, money is the root of all evil. Like, money brings the worst out in people all the time. And you know, it's so unfortunate. Families divide because of money, you know. They find out that mama had a plan, had an insurance plan, and kids who ain't never take care of their parents come out of the woodwork. Our aunt comes out of the woodwork. People want stuff. Like, you weren't here. Mm-hmm. You weren't helping us. You weren't in the gym shooting with us, but now you want something, you know, or like the people who's like, you know, there's people who go above and beyond for that family member. The other family's not there. And then once they pass away, now they're here to be sorrow and cry and put on all these theatrics and shit like that. And it's just like, you weren't here. You didn't really care. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those things are, you know, so.
I guess, what do you think will happen though if like, well, let me ask you, so I know you said you like wear a t-shirt or whatever, like to kind of troll somebody, but like what if you were taken aback? Like what if it was somebody that you least expected, or like you're somebody that you didn't know, like you had a family function and they like came out and said that, and then like,
I would ask questions though, but see, that's where we always differ because your thing is like you're you're a part of the cancel culture, so you're ready to cancel people.
I'm not
as soon as possible.
I'm not a part of cancel culture.
You don't have to hear what the details. Well, you are. You canceled Tory Lanez. You've canceled R. Kelly. You've canceled. You canceled somebody else.
Kanye.
You've canceled Kanye, and you didn't care why.
I do care why.
No, I'm saying
excuse me. Oh, I needed to like have them explain why.
For me, yes, that's how I work. But for you, it doesn't have to be a justification. It could just be like someone said it and you're jumping at it.
But
it has nothing to do with...
What if it comes from the horse's mouth? Like, we heard Kanye support Donald Trump. We heard recently Lil Wayne support him. We saw him.
I'm talking... Yeah.
R. Kelly is a child predator. Tory Lanez shot somebody.
No, it's still alleged.
Okay.
We do not know what happened with Tory Lanez. So, again, it's alleged that he shot her, and because she said it, it's fuck what the truth is. A black woman said it, so it has to be truth. It has to be the gospel.
It's not that it's gospel, but it's also like when someone says this happened to them, I don't have a reason not to believe it, and because we come from a society,
Jussie Smollett said
we live in a society, and you know what, and I sat on this show and I said I have no reason not to believe him until it came out otherwise. Then I'm like, you know what, he was wrong, so I'm willing to own if I was wrong in passing judgment on somebody. But
so let's take a step back.
But you're talking about Kanye and R. Kelly and all them. They deserve to be canceled.
I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying...
So I'm not in cancel culture. I'm saying when it's deserving.
I'm saying you cancel them once you have all the facts. You will cancel somebody without you don't have to hear the facts. The gossip is good enough for you to say, I'm going to cancel it.
So... If
the story sounds believable enough, you're going to cancel it.
So let me say this. When it comes to Tory Lanez... Megan Thee Stallion said, he shot me. I have no reason at this point.
And Tory Lanez said he did not shoot
Let me finish. So at that point, I have no reason to not believe her, right? Now, he comes behind and he's like, it's not how it didn't happen the way it said it happened. And then he also made an EP or whatever, a mixtape, whatever you want to call it.
Which was fire, by the way.
Which I'm not going to support, because whatever it is, I'm not going to support.
It's not about support. You would listen to Tory Lanez anyway, so I wouldn't expect you to listen to it anyway.
I'm not going to actively
what I'm trying to say is that Tory Lanez, Megan said he shot her. Tory Lanez said I did not shoot her.
No, he didn't say I did not shoot her. He said it didn't happen the way she said it happened. There's two different ways. That's okay. Words mean things. We go talk about that. So that's one thing. But I feel like even if with that situation, which we've talked about ad nauseum, and that there are everybody and their mothers, jumping in and giving these very muddled responses and about what happened or whatever. The only person that's given a very explicit response, in my opinion, has been Megan Thee Stallion, which she said straight up to the people, he shot me. But that aside, I'm not somebody. I don't like that you're telling me that I'm being lumped into cancel culture, or I'm a co-signer of cancel culture when the people that you named were people that deserved cancellation based on, at least from to
you're
me.
You're not listening to me at all.
I am.
I'm not saying that people don't deserve to be canceled.
But you said
what I'm trying to say is that they deserve to be canceled when there's proof of what they've done. Again, Tory Lanez has said that he did not shoot her. In his songs, he said, I did not... Hold on, where is it at? Because, words mean things, right? Mm-hmm. Girl, you had the nerve to write the statement on the affidavit knowing I ain't do it, but I'm coming at my truest. So him saying that says, again, I didn't do it. So he said he didn't do it. She said he did do it. And again, you're going to go with the black woman. So
I'm going to choose. You know what?
So that's
I'm going to choose.
But again,
I'm going to choose to believe and I'll use the word alleged. I'm going to choose to believe it's not even alleged. She did get shot. So I'm going to choose to believe a victim in a situation. So same way how I did with Jussie, which turned out to be wrong, So you're willing to go off of the he say she say
as opposed to waiting for information.
So I'm willing to.
You can't reserve yourself to say, you know what, this is how I feel, but let me wait for the facts to come out before I die on a hill.
I'm willing to support, or I'm willing to give. I'm willing to support or acknowledge a person, not just a woman, not just a black woman, but especially because we come in a society where we live in a society where black women are the least likely to be believed, are the least likely to be supported. I am going to defer to the person who is the victim in a situation. If there has been a claim of victimization, if there's been a claim of assault, or whatever. So, and I understand that the Megan and Tory situation has become more muddled because of people saying things and not saying things, and who's following and who's not following, and all this other stuff like that. It's still whack as fuck to me that he made a mixtape in order to express his side of the story,
to
monetize off of it. And so
I don't know if he necessarily did it to monetize, and it was offered as a free, what's the name?
So muddle that one aside, which I'm not very unclear about where I stand, but a lot of people are, and that's fine. And if it comes out tomorrow that she was wrong or that he didn't pull the trigger or whatever,
listen to the mixtape.
No, I'm still not going to listen to it. Why not? But because, like you said, I'm not somebody who's jumping out the window for Tory Lanez to begin with. If I hear something that you end up playing because I like it, it's whatever. But I'm not. I don't go. The only person I'm like actively seeking out their music is probably Beyonce. Everybody else is just like, if it comes across my desk or comes across in front of me, then that's one thing. But if it comes out that it's wrong, I will get on here and I will say, you know what? I supported her because I believe black women, and she was wrong. And this is fucked up because there's so many black women who are victims of assault who aren't believed, that it takes away from their situation. And I will gladly say that, and that's fine. When it comes, but that does not mean that when the other examples that you gave of Kanye West, I'm so quick to cancel people, but it's like so you don't use them as the same example because they're not in this. They're
what I'm
way
trying to say
above.
is that the differences between me and you is that I want to be able to, before I make a decision, I need to hear all the facts because that's how I live my life. And I'm saying you don't need to hear all the facts. It doesn't even have to be factual. It could just be a whisper that this is what happened.
But we had to go through this with Kanye with you. So what facts did you need to hear? You saw him with a MAGA hat posing with Trump, singing his praises, and he running for president, trying to siphon off votes and shit like that.
I mean, that was
recently, but like even before when we had this debate, we had a heated debate about Kanye on the show. What you needed? What facts then? That was from him, out of his mouth.
No, I wanted to be able to hear where he was coming from, and then even with that, I realized that Kanye is he has mental health issues.
But mental health issues play a role, but that does not necessarily excuse his beliefs.
We know,
because we got people who are mentally ill just like him who are adamantly against Trump. So
we do, but again, we don't know anyone who has mental health issues who are billionaires or super famous who they have enablers. So it's a little bit different. Like when you're the cash cow. Ain't no one going to tell the cash cow you're wrong because you're not going to cut me off. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead with it. Shit, we're seeing that right now with Donald Trump. All the Republicans see the bullshit that's going on. They know the shit is wrong, but they're not going to go against their base because they got to prepare themselves and protect themselves in case they try to run again or be utilized again in the political office. So even though they know what's going on is wrong and they don't agree with it, they're going to sell their souls. So a lot of times people's souls are available.
So my question to you, for those people, do you want to hear their justification? Do you need to hear why they're doing what they're doing before you decide to say fuck them, jump off a bridge? Or let me not be so extreme, but let me say this, like the people that you're talking about that sell their souls and put a price on their...
I still want to hear, yes.
You still want to hear...
I'm flabbergasted, but I still want to be able to hear their views because, again, the worst thing you can do...
What will it change?
It helps me be informed. It helps me know what the enemy is thinking.
Let me ask you this. Will So you just want to know
know.
You don't want to know because you feel like it's going to change your mind.
No. I'm not going to say it. No. I don't think there's anything that they can say that will change my mind. Period. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not going to just shut them off. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to listen to them. I don't want to hear them, because my thing is, again, it's better to hear what your enemy is saying. Like, there's people who's like, I'm not going to look at CNN or I'm not going to look at Fox. I don't want to know what's going on. But it's like, why be ignorant to the situation? The best thing you can do is see what they're doing, see what they're talking about, so that way you know how to mobilize against them. So that's where I'm at on the Republican side and everything over there. When we're talking about other things, again, we can easily cancel yes, you have that right. I'm not saying that you're wrong for feeling the way that you feel. But what I am saying is that it makes sense for it makes sense for me to be able to understand what that person is saying, why they're saying it, for me to be able to make the best decision for me, as opposed to me joining the cancel culture and just doing it because that's what society's telling us to do.
So do you feel like I'm doing it because society is on a cancel culture wave?
No.
Because what I feel is that
I don't feel like that for you, because you're smart. So I know that you're doing the readings and stuff like that. I do feel like sometimes you pull the trigger too quick, but that's it.
So Tory Lanez aside, because I know that that's going to be the one that you're going to defer to, who else did you feel like I pulled the trigger on too quickly?
Kanye. You weren't wrong with R. Kelly. I mean, he should have definitely been canceled. But that also kind of went back to where we were at as a society, and it was normalized. The predator behavior was normalized, at least for the old generations.
But then
nobody can tell me that that's different.
And so with Kanye, like, see, so I understand. Let me say this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to ever come across like I'm not willing to hear alternative beliefs or arguments that might not align with my own, because that's how you live in an echo chamber, and that's when you never learn, you never grow, because you're only reinforcing the things that you already think are true, which is a lot of Trump supporters do, and a lot of those people, they live in these echo chambers, so that's why these things keep getting reinforced. However, there are moments in time, and there are certain scenarios, and there are certain transgressions where right is right and wrong is wrong, and it really isn't. There isn't always a need to hear somebody's thought process behind some egregious ass action or thinking or support of something so vile. Like, the support or the action in itself tells me all that I need to know. So it's kind of like a thing of like, it's like a meme that sometimes that's been going around especially since it's been election year. And it's like, we can just agree to disagree. People talk about all the time. And it's like, yeah, we can agree to disagree about what to eat for dinner, not about basic human rights. So for me, that is to me, that's a line in the sand. That's a line that you're drawing, and I don't need to really hear much. I don't need to hear much else for you, because if you either believe or support somebody who believes or creates the situations that violate the basic human rights of people in this world, I don't want to fuck with you, and I don't want anything for you, and I don't want to know why you even feel that way, because because either it's willful ignorance, because you're looking at it and you're choosing to ignore it because it doesn't necessarily directly impact you, or because you also believe those things are okay. They had the quote unquote million MAGA march this weekend down in DC, and there was a sign that someone held up, and it was like, blacks and Muslims were coming for you first, the New World Order. I seen that. I seen the protesters knocking down the Black Lives Matter stuff. So no. 100%. I don't want to hear what these motherfuckers got to say. Well, no, I don't want to hear what they have to say either. And that's what I'm willing. If someone in my family voted for them, I do want to hear what they said, because I want to be able to know what the fuck this person is thinking, and then that way I can mobilize again. Because if you're in my family and you thinking this way, you may be around my child. I have to know how you think, so that way I know. Wait, we're having a family gathering. Who's going? Am I going to be there? No, I'm not going to be there, but this person's going to be there, and their children's going to be here, and it could affect my child. No, they can't go. So yes, I'm not going to willfully just be like,
well, just because you voted for them, no. Because again, it's not as black and white, especially if it's someone that you grew up with or someone that you're close with. Now, if it's someone who's an acquaintance, of course, you can cut them off because it's an acquaintance. So that's what I'm saying. Everything is a case-by-case basis. But I understand where you're coming from. You are right. Like, human right issues. The fact that Donald Trump had kids in fucking cages and that there's, like, kids who don't know where their families are.
666. If that's not a fucking sign, I don't even know what to tell you.
So that is a problem, 100%. And if you could vote for someone who can do that, then yes, you're heartless.
For me, that's why, like, in a situation like that, it's like, I don't have anything else to talk about. That's you. Fair. You R. That's Kelly. Fair. I don't got shit to talk to you about. You fucking preying on young girls. Kanye, you support Donald Trump, mental illness or not, and your platform, and you're wasting that. I don't have anything for you. My thing is, I don't mean nothing to him because he don't know me from a can of paint, but I don't have to actively listen to your music and support. And that would hurt. That would hurt because Kanye was once my favorite rapper.
But his new music is trash, so you're not missing out on anything.
But it's the principle. Sometimes it's a principle thing, and it's a thing of like, I don't need to. So like to put it into context with the people, the men that you named or whatever. I'm not ever changing my mind about Kanye or R. Kelly. And like I said, Tory Lanez, if it comes out to be true, then I was right. And if it doesn't, then I will have my mea culpa. And I will say, you know what? I believe the person who said that they were victimized. And I will say this. I'm not going to apologize ever for siding with somebody. I said this too when it came to that whole Jussie Smollett situation. I'm never going to apologize for supporting someone who's saying that they've been victimized. I will apologize to the person that was then in turn became a victim because somebody else lied on them. That I can do as an evolving and mature person in this world. But I'm not going to. There are certain things when it comes to somebody in the family, whatever.
You have your own triggers, and that's fair.
And I will say this: when it comes to like, if there was somebody in one of our families who had it or whatever. Because, like you said, I can understand even talking to that person because they're your family. Like, we grew up the same way. We're in the same family. We have similar life experiences. How could you come to feel this way? But at the same time, that might likely be the last conversation I have with that person because it might end with like, you're a fucking idiot or you're a piece of trash or you and I don't have the same core fundamental beliefs, so there's nothing here for us, like blood or not. There's nothing for us, and I do agree. Like, I'm not going to put myself in the same spaces around you if I can help it. I'm damn sure not going to put my child in the same spaces around it because children learn from their parents and their families how to move in this world and how to value people. And you know, I'm not a perfect person, but I think when it comes down to it, and maybe, you know, it can make me naive or it can make me soft or emotional or whatever. But you know what? I'm not gonna apologize for wanting people to be treated right in this life and people who are different. Like, it's so not hard to like be decent to other people. Like, you don't have to roll out the red fucking carpet, but it's so not hard to like just be decent. Like, you meet somebody and they're non-binary and they want to go by they and them. It might take a little getting used to, but why is it so difficult to call them by their chosen name? Or if they're trans and they were once Samuel and now they want to be Samantha, why is it so hard for somebody to switch calling their names like that? You know, if somebody is, you know, if you're a black person in white spaces, it's like, why is it so difficult for, you know, to want to see somebody be treated equitably or whatever? And it's like, you know, and like I said, it might come across as naive or whatever, but it's just like, it comes down to just like common fucking decency. And that's what this world lacks. You know, I don't have to have, we don't want to identify with the shit that doesn't affect us. Because we don't think about the things that don't occur to us, which is natural, which is human nature. It doesn't mean that we don't have to respect other people and the way that they are living their lives or their truth or their identity or their race or their nationality or their religion, whatever you want to call it. It takes nothing to show people respect. at all. And I don't know, maybe because of my own experiences, or maybe because of how I grew up. Like, I grew up in a household where, like, even though it never really came up, there was never an air of, like, homophobia or transphobia, or there wasn't, like, sexism in my house. Like, my dad wasn't on some, like, this is a woman's role, or this is, you know, whatever. Like,
Same.
And so it's like, and you know what it is too? It's just like, injustice pisses me off. And sometimes I get upset with other people when I feel as though, and this is where something I'm working on, but it's like trying to do something constructive with it as opposed to just being upset with other people. But sometimes it gets me frustrated and flustered where I'm like, how are you and I, and not just specifically you, but like, how are you and I looking at the same sequence of events playing out, and you're not as angry about this as me when it's talking about somebody's basic human rights being violated?
There's 70 million people who don't see it that way.
And it's fuck every 70 million of them and their mamas.
I'm just saying though, but that just, this election, everything that has transpired should show you that racism is still alive. Again, when was segregation over? 1960 something? Mm-hmm. Like less than 80 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, they posted something the other day about, like, Emmett Till would be the same age as Donald Trump if he wasn't murdered. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's crazy.
Emmett Till was born 1941, 1 year after Alex Trebek and 1 year before Joe Biden. Donald Trump is 1946 is older than the four girls who passed in the Birmingham church bombing. 3 was born in 1949 and 1 was in 1951. When people think the civil rights movement was so long ago, like,
Ruby Bridges was 60 years ago. Ruby Bridges is in her 60s. She's younger than my mom. Ruby Bridges was the first person that was Brown versus Board of Education. She was integrated because TJ was giving me the look like, who's Ruby Bridges?
I was.
But
I've heard of Brown v. Education.
So which didn't Thurgood Marshall argue that case? Yes.
He's an alpha.
So the Ruby Bridges, she's and there's that painting that I think it was Norman Rockwell, but that famous painting, and she's like walking, and there's like the National Guard is behind her protecting her. She was 6 years old.
That was the one where they're doing Kamala.
Kamala, yeah.
Sorry, Kamala.
Yes.
Make sure I
say his name right.
Yeah,
yes.
no.
But
you got to say people's names right.
Absolutely.
100%.
So 60 years. That was.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But I like to hone in on that because people act like slavery and racism was so long ago, but it's like, no, it wasn't so long ago.
And we're still dealing with the fallout from it.
100%. Again, it just changed. It just changed and it looks different. And they do things differently. And, you know, this new generation is making sure that the wrongs are righted, mm-hmm. I feel like.
There's a lot of people out there.
It's a lot more people who's willing to fight a different fight, and they're willing to record it and put it on social media. See, that's the difference, right? The social media, even though I call it the devil, it does have its bright sides because without social media, we don't know about Trayvon Martin, we don't know about George Floyd, we don't know about Ahmaud Arbery. Like, we don't know about these things. We don't see these things. It's not able to be out there. Shit. Emmett Till was kind of like the first social media, even though it wasn't social media,
like viral.
But it was the first viral thing. And the only reason why people knew about that was because his mother said, I want an open casket. Mm-hmm. And if she didn't say, I want an open casket, and that picture wasn't circulated, because I think they put it in Jet magazine, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone got to see it. Mm-hmm. So again, Black people were used to being hung and murdered and stuff like that. That especially in the South. It was just par for the course. Mm-hmm. But it's different when everyone gets to see it. Mm-hmm. It's different when everyone got to see what people are doing. And I think that's the difference. Again, we went all over.
We did.
But, so my takeaway is that I think that I think because you're so smart, it can be detrimental to you sometimes. Mm-hmm. Because, again, you're smart enough to kind of get all your facts, and then you're making your decision based off of that. And you're not always right at that, and you are accountable. So I will give you that. But sometimes it is okay to give yourself the extra days, even though it's not what you want to do. Like you know that your decision is made, but you know what? Let me get more facts, or let me wait before I come out with what I think it is. Because again, as you would say, measure twice, cut once.
I can understand that. I think also too what I am also working on, which I learned in therapy, which is like I don't always have to, as much as sometimes it pains me, because I don't always have to share my opinion, because it is frustrating sometimes to be someone who is asked their opinion a lot of the time, but then because I have come to a conclusion, I feel like I've gathered enough information and made a decision, and then I'm being, told, well, are you not looking at it from this person's side, or you're not waiting for all the facts to come out, or this, that, and the other, then I'm like, you know what? I don't have to tell everybody what I think. I can just decide to not support somebody and not speak on it unless unless I absolutely have to,
or solicit it.
Yeah, but even then, I don't.
No. You don't have to say anything, but I'm just saying. I'm saying it's different if somebody asks you your opinion and then you gave your opinion. That means that it was solicited.
But it is. I understand. But even then, like I can say, like I don't want to share it with you, because I also know, like sometimes if you know your audience, you know that like what you're saying is going to. The likelihood that person is going to have a differing opinion than you, is going to either goad you or going to tell you that you're too emotional, or that you pass judgment too quick, or this and the other.
I can see that.
So I'm not going to. So what other thing too is like I don't have to go through it, because another thing I learned in therapy was like sometimes especially when you're talking to a person who is the demographic of like the other person that you are not for, or that you have a problem with, it becomes really hard for people to separate those things, and it's also thing is like, even if you talk about a population of people, of a demographic of people, you can still like, two things can be true. I could be talking about white women, but not every single white woman I've encountered. I could be talking about black men or black women, but everybody doesn't fit. We're not monoliths, but sometimes there is evidence and data to support certain things, and it's just like that is where I'm coming from with that conversation. But I also recognize that sometimes the people I'm talking to are also members of their demographic. And so they get in there, they get defensive. And that's a thing. And I mean, I can say the same thing about when people talk about black women. And that's part of it. And that's part of it too. It's a natural thing. So I have to sometimes make the decision to not engage with people on certain things. But I will say this, it's like, people can't have it both ways with me, which is like, I'm being told that my response or my reaction or my kind of conclusion I've drawn on a certain situation or topic is not correct or not fair or not just. But at the same time, though, I'm asked my opinion on it, or I'm asked to inform people on it, right? Because there's times where like other people I know like will be like, "What is this situation? I just heard about this. What's going on, Dani?" And then I'm like your, CNN news reporter for the night, and I'm giving you all this stuff. But yeah, of course I'm giving you what I've processed, and of course there's going to be some of my own like understanding and opinion on it, and woven into it. But it's like, no, like if that's the case, like if it's gonna be a recurring trend of like I'm asked what I think, or I'm asked,
I got you,
to inform somebody.
It can't be both. It can't be like, Dani, what's your opinion? And then when you give your opinion, it's like, attack Dani.
Yeah. Because I feel I have strong feelings. And I have strong feelings about a lot of stuff.
Well, listen, like I tell you, don't change. Fuck how, as my father would say, one of us is going to be uncomfortable and it ain't going to be me. And once you realize that, you can say whatever you want. And some people are going to agree with you. Some people ain't going to agree with you. But that's life, man. And once you realize that, I feel like I've been my happiest once I realized that my decisions are my decisions, and fuck what people think.
I'm working on that. And I'd rather nobody be uncomfortable, but I know that that's not always going to be the case.
Because even if you say something the nicest, somebody may still be offended by that, or they may feel like you're placating them or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. Like people are always gonna feel or be in their feelings, and you can't allow that to determine how you move, because then you're not gonna move the way that you want to, or you're gonna be unhappy or frustrated because you're worried about other people. Fuck them. If they're your family, if they're your friends, they love you. Y'all can have a disagreement, or y'all can have different views, and y'all can still come back. And I'm a strong believer of that. But if they don't come back, or if they don't fuck with you like that no more, then they really weren't that close with you. So.
And it's okay to cut niggas off for supporting Trump.
It's okay to cut people off because they don't fit in your life anymore, like I was saying earlier. So.
And niggas that support Trump don't have a space in my life. So just to keep it on the political wave. But
I don't know if I'm that far yet. I have to speak to them first, and then I can make the decision. But if it's somebody that I care about,
like I said, I might give one conversation. If it's somebody I care about, I'll give like one good conversation, and then I'm out. But that's just me.
I mean, ultimately, I think one thing we both can agree on: fuck Donald Trump.
Oh, fuck him! I can't wait for him to go to hell.
Nah, I'm not gonna go that far. See, once you start putting all these extra stuff, that's too much energy.
No, I'm saying like not like die and go to hell. I mean, he's gonna eventually die, but like I'm not wishing death upon anyone. I mean, I would not. I would not lose sleep when that day comes.
The only thing I do want to know with Donald Trump is like the history books. How are they gonna paint Donald Trump?
I hope like
and how are they gonna paint him?
Piece of shit.
How are they gonna paint him? And COVID, like his COVID response and everything else, like, are they going to try to make it like, like that stuff does excite me because, like, again, U.S. history was like my shit.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm very curious about
like,
that.
How do the people who write the history
frame it?
Yeah.
See, I do wonder about that too, because the difference now from with kids who are in school and will be in school by the time these textbooks are written. Unlike when we were in school with certain historical events, is that you also have millions of pieces of primary sources, right? We learned about that in his U.S. history, right? Primary documents. So, but now it's video footage and it's tweets and it's coverage. It's really hard you can't. They
have to put the tweets inside.
They're gonna be tweets. They're gonna be tweets inside of textbooks.
History book. It has to be.
But my thing is like, you can't say this happened this way when it's like all this evidence proves to the contrary.
But honestly,
they can. But I'm saying it's gonna be a lot of.
It's gonna take a teacher a teacher's gonna have to be unbiased, because again, if we're going off of the historical facts and what's there, like if you read those tweets, you can make up a decision on what that person is saying, and a student may see it as a positive, another student may see it as a negative, but you can't be like the person who says it's negative is wrong, but you also can't say the person who sees it as a positive is wrong. And that's kind of the thing. Now, again, it may be a telling sign if they think that him saying it's the China disease is a positive, because that's telling what kind of individual you are. But I'm just saying it's going to be interesting to see how they're graded. Like, I hope that, like, when Tatum is learning history, like, I want to teach her what's in the book, but I also want to teach her, like, the outside factors that they may not cover or they may not show. Like,
absolutely.
Like when I talk about Christopher Columbus, yes, he may have discovered America, but no. He stole America from the Native Americans. There were people here already, and
yeah, and he didn't even know where he was. He thought he was in India, and he brought a bunch of, quite honestly, this was right on time for Thanksgiving. He brought a bunch of disease to the Native people, and again,
him and his posse was out there robbing and raping.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Fuck all of them. They were the originators of not washing their legs.
They are the originators of bringing diseases. The original coronavirus.
I'm not. Listen, I know that this virus originated in China.
Is that the angle that we're going with?
But one thing white people do well is spread disease and not wash properly. So, again, not all of them, but enough of them.
And on that note,
this has been another episode of Lovers Quarrel. As always, you know that you can follow us on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7. And you can email us your thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, follow, tag, save, all the things in order to help this podcast grow. Folks, we will keep you posted on our recording schedule, but we are always happy that you're here with us and that you're joining us. And we hope that you enjoy these conversations and that you get something from them. And thank you, as always, for riding and rocking and rolling with us and showing us grace and holding us accountable. So with that being said, I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, TJ.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight, but we love.
Bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.